Chair. In attendance are the following. From the Department of Agriculture, represented by Undersecretary Christopher V. Morales, Undersecretary for Rice Industry Development, Director Remilen Recoter, Agricultural Training Institute, Deputy Executive Director Flordalisa H. Borde, Deputy Executive Director Phil Rice, Assistant Director Hermini Hilda A. Gabertan, Assistant Director Bureau of Plant Industry. From the National Food Authority, Administrator Larry R. Lacson. From the Philippine Rice Institute as well, Dr. John C. De Leon, Executive Director. From the Philippine Center for Post-Harvest Development and Mechanization, Assistant Director Joel Dator. From the Department of Budget and Management, Attorney Tricia M. Baraan. From the Department of Finance, Assistant Secretary Nel Cabiles. From the Bureau of Customs, we have Attorney Arnel P. Alambra, Deputy Commissioner, Revenue Collection Monitoring Group, and Attorney John Cedric Comon. From the Department of Economy, Planning and Development, we have Attorney Carl Diaz. From the Philippine Statistics Authority, Johanna G. Abad, Supervising Statistical Specialist. From the Department of Trade and Industry, Mr. Joel Buwag, Assistant Division Chief, Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau. From the Philippine Competition Commission, Attorney Aliana Helen Bigubalia. From the Land Bank of the Philippines, Eden B. Hapitana, First Vice President, Agriculture and Sustainable Development Group. From the Development Bank of the Philippines, Assistant Vice President Mylene E. Peras, Head Knowledge Management Unit. From the Planters Products Incorporated, Attorney Carlwin Thompson Ong, the Legal Director. And from our private organizations and associations, from the International Rice Research Institute, Alice Laborte and Alisher Merzabayev. From the Samahan ng Industriya ng Agrikultura, SINAG, we have Engineer Rosendo So, the Chairperson, and Mr. Jason Kainglet. From the Kilusang Magbubukid ng Pilipinas, Rudy Undan. He is also a member of Utak Magsasaka Novo Ecijano. From the Bantay Oxy Association, Chairperson Gemma M. Tabian with Jose T. Vidal, Vice Chairman Emilita B. Mariano, and Leodigario Valera. From the Mabalacat Multipurpose Cooperative Samahang Magsasakang Nagkaisa sa Kaunlaran, Mr. Norberto B. Basa, Mawake Resettlement, Mabalacat City, and La Purisima P. Gomez, and Danilo Bolos, a former also of Nueva Ecija. From PIDS, Mr. Chair, Dr. Royaliano Briones, Senior Research Fellow, and Maria Lourdes Saluta of the Tariff Commission. That's all for now, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Lina. Magandang umaga sa kanila lahat. We are opening the second hearing of the proposed amendments to the Rice Tariffication Law, as well as additional powers of the National Food Authority. Kung patakaran at polisiya ang lupang tatamnan ng sektor ng agrikultura, malinaw na isang naging lason, hindi pataba ang naging epekto at resulta ng Rice Tariffication Law. Sa nakaraang pagdinig, narinig natin ang mga nakakaiyak na kwento ng ating mga magpapalay at nakakabahalang datos. Bumagsak ng hanggang 8 piso kada kilo ang farm gate price ng palay habang bumabaha ng mas murang imported na bigas sa ating mga pamilihan. Nabahala rin tayo sa mga ulat ng posibleng price manipulation, irregularity sa bodega, at isang NFA na inalisan ng kakayahang protektahan ang mga magsasaka at mga mamimili. Mismong si Tocayo Secretary Kiko Chu Laurel Jr. ay nanawagan ng isang overhaul. Gusto niyang manumbalik ang kakayahan ng Estado na mag-calibrate ng mga intervention mapalakas ang extension service at i-modernize ang NFA. Ang susunod na pagdinig ay tatalaga para sa mga technical working group meetings upang mabuo na ang committee report. Sisiguraduhin natin na ang mga reformang isusulong ay tunay na tutugon sa mga kaukulang o kakulangan sa polisiya at magpapatatag sa ating mga institusyon. Sa isang pagpupulong kasama ni Secretary Kiko Laurel at ni na Administrator Lacson, nung tayo'y bagong talagang chairman ng Committee on Agriculture, na pag-usapan natin na prioridad ang pag-amyenda ng rice tarification measure. Sinunod natin ito sa pagpupulong kasama ni Presidente Marcos Jr. sa Malacanang at sinang-ayunan niya ang pangangailangan na masertipika na urgent itong pag-amyenda sa rice tarification measure. Sa pakikipagtulungan ng Executive Department at ng Legislative Department, nagkausap na rin kami ni Congressman Mark Enverga, Chairman ng Committee on Agriculture, at si Congresswoman Leia Bulot Bigtang ng Committee on Agrarian Reform sa Congress, at nagkasundo na rin kami na kinakailangang isaayos yung rice tarification law, amendahan, irebihisahin para matugunan itong mga problemang ito. Dagdag dito, hindi pa man na ipapasa ang rice tarification measure, sa susunod marahil na 2 linggo, ilalabas na ng Pangulo ang executive order para magkaroon ng minimum floor price ng palay pag gobyerno ang bumibili direkta sa ating mga magsasaka sa ilalim ng Sagip-Saka Act, yung Republic Act 11321. May minimum floor price sa wet, may minimum floor price sa dry. At ihihikayatin ang mga pamalang pambansang ahensya, pamalang lokal na mga local government units, ngayong panahon ng anihan na bumili direkta sa ating mga magsasaka at mangingisda. So we are pushing for the executive order issuance. 2 actually yon, at pumayag din ang executive department doon sa pagpupulong with President Marcos Jr. Yung unang EO is setting a minimum floor price sa pag-purchase ng gobyerno ng palay, which does not, of course, prevent ang ating LGUs sa mga lugar na maaari at may kapasidad na ibenta yung bigas, bibilin ng direkta rin ang bigas sa ating mga magsasaka sa tamang presyo. At yung pangalawang EO ay yung full implementation ng Sagip-Saka Act para lahat ng ahensya ng pamahalaan na may kinalaman sa food security, pagbibili ng pagkain, pagbibili ng produktong agrikultura, ay minamandatong bumili direkta. Mga ospital, mga provincial city jail, mga cafeteria ng mga state universities ay makikipag-ugnayan na sa mga farmers and fisher folk organizations para direktang bilhin itong usapin ng agriculture products sa tamang presyo. So yung 2 EO na yon, hopefully within the month ay mai-issue na, tututukan natin. So sa tulong ng mga katuwang sa pamahalaan, pribadong sektor at mga magsasaka mismo, sama-sama nating itatag ang mga reformang magpapatibay sa kinabukasan ng agrikultura, pagsasaka at kabuhayan ng bawat Pilipino. We can now proceed. Okay. Do we have an order of the presentations? Okay. So may presentation ang DA. Sige, so Yusek Morales, you have the floor. Go ahead. After which we can get the presentations. Please limit your presentation to 5 minutes, more or less. And then we will have the others, resource persons. PIDS and FFF. Okay. And kung meron pang ibang nais magbigay ng opening statement, we will just acknowledge you and recognize you as we go along. Go ahead, Yusek Morales.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and the members of this joint committee hearing. Allow me to present yung core reforms and provisions of the latest draft na binubuo po ng department. So, this is a proposed measure to seeks to repeal and replace RA 112 or 203 to correct its adverse effects on farmers and rice security. It aims to restore government responsibility in ensuring price stability, farmers' protection, and rice self-sufficiency while institutionalizing the Philippine Rice Industry Development Program. So naramdaman naman natin yung, although there are minimal impact on the industry's yield and beneficiaries of the RCEP program, ramdam naman natin ngayon naging impact niya sa farmers, especially on our farmers' income na talagang naapektuhan po sila. There are 6 core reforms and provisions na pinupropose ang department. Una is to end the current liberalized import regime and establishes a managed rice trade system where imports are calibrated to complement, not displace local production. Ibig sabihin, sabi ni Sec nung ating budget hearing, kung ano lang yung pangangailangan tulad dati, yun lang yung i-allow po nating pumasok dito para po hindi maapektuhan yung pagtulong natin na maging competitive ang ating mga local farmers, rice farmers, and our local industry. At isa sa pinaka-importanting proposal, reforms and provisions ay yung pag-restore ng core mandate ng NFA on its role in domestic palay procurement. So hindi lang po i-restore yung role, but also palakasin pa yung kakayahan nila, no, in terms of investments in post-harvest facilities like drying and warehousing and storage, buffer stocking, and more importantly, market stabilization with importation allowed only as a last resort by the government. And also, doon sa proposal, isa sa pinupropose po ng team, ng rice team ng DA is to establish a Philippine Rice Industry Development Program as the National Rice Roadmap, integrating yung National Rice Program, Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, or RCEF, and some activities of PhilRice, ATI, and LGU initiatives into a unified strategy, thereby creating a coordinating office, the Rice Industry Competitiveness Enhancement Office, which will serve as the Policy and Program Secretariat, ensuring convergence of DA, NFA, and other implementing agencies under the PRIDP or the Philippine Rice Industry Development Program. And also on rice tariff and safeguard mechanism, we seek to authorize the President upon DA or NEDA or DepDeb recommendation to adjust tariffs, suspend imports, or impose safeguard measures to stabilize prices and protect our farmers. And in view of the creation of PRIDP, the Consolidate a Rice Industry Development Fund to consolidate tariff collections, NFA income, and GA allocations to finance the PRIDP priorities on high-quality seeds, mechanization, inputs, and buffer stock operations.
PRIDP?
Philippine Rice Industry Development Program.
Yan yung combination ng RCEP tsaka ng rice program.
Yes, sir. It's an industry-wide overall program. I think our National Sectoral Committee on Rice already presented it to the Secretary and was approved yung 2020, I think 2026 to 2031 PRIDP program, sir. I think that's all, sir. Unless Admin Larry will present it.
That's it? Okay. Who is next?
PIDS.
Philippine Institute for
Development Studies.
Go ahead. May I have your name, sir?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Roel Briones.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, sir. Go ahead. Are you a professor, undersecretary?
I am a senior research fellow at the PIDS, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And
Yes.
do you teach?
I used to teach, Senator. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Briones. You have the floor.
All right. So there's numerous issues that were touched upon in the Senate bill and the two resolutions for the agenda of this hearing. I decided to limit my personal comments to the policy of setting a floor price for palay. And I understand that the chair's opening remarks also referred to a floor price, but only for purchases made by government. But this, I think, the provisions in the Senate bill pertain to an actual prohibition of setting prices below a mandated floor price. And I have some comments about that. So first is, of course, there is a sound motivation for setting a floor price of palay. I think kabisado na siguro natin itong mga statistics na ito na talagang pababa yung presyo ng palay, lalo nung nagkaroon ng tariff cut last year, mid last year, tapos sinabayan ng pagbukas ng India ng kanyang pagluwas ng bigas. So bumagsak din yung presyo sa pandaigdigang merkado. Although napansin natin, slightly nung August na-announce yung import suspension, medyo bumawi. This is the latest figures. Pero baka naman, nasundan ng tuloy pang pagbaba. I don't have the more latest update. So this is a 31% drop, no, from June 2024 to July 2025. Next. Now,
What
matagal na
is the
siguro.
31% drop in palay prices?
This is palay other variety
Yeah.
of based on PSA, farm gate price data.
So 31% drop from?
Hindi ko po masyadong makita yung malabo na po yung mata ko pero
January,
January June 2024 to July
June.
2020.
June. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
So, matagal na napag-uusapan itong mga floor price at meron na tayong experience, even in this country, about the operation of floor prices. Sa buong agrikultura, meron lang isang commodity na nagpa-practice consistently ng floor price. This is under PD 627 of 1974. This is tobacco. Tapos, outside of agriculture, meron din tayong floor price policy sa wages. Doon naman sa larangan ng manggagawa. So, if you look at these two floor price setups, merong common elements siya. If you look at the statute na established each of these schemes, no? Meron siyang flexibility, meron siyang tripartite price setting. Halimbawa, dun sa tobacco, it's the government represented by the National Tobacco Authority. Tapos yung farmers, the producers of the tobacco, and then the buyers represented by the cigarette manufacturers, the dealers, and the exporters. Sa larangan naman ng manggagawa, yung minimum wage setting is, ang tripartite dyan is the government, the minimum wage board, worker representative, and employers representative. Tapos yan by region, so geographically dispersed. Sa tobacco kasi medyo concentrated yung production, no, sa Northern Luzon. So, hindi naman kailangan ng regional setup. So, with both of these features, we can ensure that price setting is realistic and consistent with, okay, so, pasensya na po sa medyo jargon with what we call market clearing. Ibig sabihin lang yan, nandun yung presyo kung saan more or less yung supply magmamatch sa demand. Kasi batay sa economic theory, pag ang presyo ay masyadong mababa, magkakaroon tayo ng shortage. Tapos pagka naman masyadong mataas, magkakaroon tayo ng surplus. So we would expect, kung hinayaan natin yung pag-operate ng merkado, mag-correct siya. Pagka may shortage, tataas yung presyo. Pagka may surplus, bababa yung presyo. So next slide, please. So, hindi lang naman palaging matagumpay ang patakarang based on experience, no, based on previous studies, no. When does a price control fail? When it involves prolonged and significant divergence between the mandated price and yung realistic or market clearing price. And it's fairly well known. And then this latest study from World Bank reviews all of the vast literature na price controls, especially sa experience ng mga planned economies and then yung mga even mixed economies that try to implement this. Hindi lang sa Pilipinas, no? This is a worldwide consistent experience. Na if you have that kind of price control, prolonged and significant divergence between statutory and market clearing price, you can cause, depending on the nature of the price control, chronic shortages of these goods. Formation of parallel markets, so yung palagi natin naririnig na black market, na ini-ignore na lang yung government policy, no? Substitution towards lower quality alternatives. And the producers of price-controlled goods turn to black markets which lack basic regulation, so wala na lahat ng mga food safety, animal welfare checks and all of this, no? And more or less encourages production to shift to firms in the informal sector. And actually, we do have an experience. Hindi naman ito price floor, price ceiling, September 2023, 2 years ago. Next slide. Nakikita naman natin, this is now the retail price of rice, no? The green is the well-milled, the violet yata yan, is the regular milled. Tapos nung tumataas, nagkaroon ng executive order to impose a price ceiling respectively for these varieties of 45 and 42. Di ko memorize. 45 and 42. So that was imposed nung September, and within September, the recorded price ng PSA is way above that, the 50 plus and then the 40 plus, no? That you can see in the chart. Tapos, hindi lang yon, maraming nagreklamong mga retailer because they're buying daw at a wholesale na luging-lugi na sila pag ibebenta nila dun sa controlled price. So nagkaroon pa ng additional amelioration from the Sustainable Livelihood Program, the SWD, 15,000 per retailer sa mga umaangal na mga retailer. Tapos sa latest figures na nakalap ko, something like almost 400 million yung nagastos. But fortunately, well, I would say fortunately, na-realize ito and then we withdraw yung price ceiling. And well, hindi naman natin, bumaba yung pressure. It's not because we withdraw yung price ceiling. It's because napansin na rin ng mga policymaker na hindi na ganun ka-necessary yung price ceiling kasi pupasok na yung ani for that year. So, and then you can see the reduction. And we have quickly realized that this may not be a very realistic policy after performing that 1-month experiment. Next. So this is a lesson from experience, and it is a lesson that we should take to heart, that floor prices or price controls in general can work if flexible and based on negotiation of the stakeholders involved, government, farmers, buyers, so that you can have a more realistic price setting responding to changing market conditions. But in practice, as we saw in the price ceiling example for retail, it is difficult to enforce. It creates winners and losers, so like the retailers, the losers. And depending on how prolonged and how far from realistic price it is, it introduces unsustainable distortion in the market. Yun na nga. So, medyo, you can see the policy, no? Nag-impose ng price control, may nasaktan, kumuha ng taxpayer funds para bayaran yung mga nasaktan. So in the end, binawi lahat so that everything medyo back to normal, no? Even though mataas pa rin yung presyo ng sa retail. Let us note the language of Section 25 of RA 7607, which gives mandate for price support on at least for rice and corn, but it has 2 conditions. A, that the price support established shall not result in the increase in the retail price of such products beyond the paying capacity of the average consumer, and B, that the government shall also endeavor to set farm gate prices that respond to changing economic conditions. Yan lang po, Mr. Chair. Salamat po.
Thank you, Mr. Briones. We now proceed with
The Federation of Free Farmers sent their presentation earlier, but they haven't arrived yet.
Oh, they haven't arrived. Andiyan na ba ang Federation of Free Farmers? Oh, yun.
Darating.
Yes, Mr. Montemayor, you will now present your We'll give you 1 minute to catch your breath, sir.
Hindi, okay lang, Senator. Thank you for the invitation. Medyo na-traffic sa ulan. But I
Yes,
wanted to...
you submitted actually your
Point presentation
PowerPoint
earlier.
presentation.
Opo, meron akong
So we
present
can
na short.
are you ready to make the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
can we ask the secretariat, please? There you go. Go ahead, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, sige, sa next slide na. First, yung situation sa nangyari ngayon, ano, if you can show I sent something this morning, kung pwede yun ang ipakita natin. Okay, but anyway, this is the one I sent. Kung pwede yung pinadala ko this morning.
Can you first confirm that you received it? Did we receive it? So you have it now? Okay. Is this the one? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so yung next slide please. Okay, ito yung nangyari po sa atin from 2023. You will notice there's starting late 2023 and then 2024, sumipa yung presyo ng imports, yung blue line, no? And sumunod yung retail prices, tumaas. And then in July 2024, to address that problem, binabaan yung taripa to 15% from 35%. So you will see there's a rapid decline in import prices, no? At sumabay yung palay. That's the reason why ang baba ng palay ngayon. Kasi napakamura yung imported. You can see in the latest report of PSA, 15.60 na ang presyo ng palay. Clean and dry na po yun. Ang equivalent yan sa fresh palay, mga 12. No? But you can also see the retail prices did not follow the import prices. No? Pumabasa ng konti, pero lumaki yung gap between the import price and the retail price. No? Yan po ang problema natin. No? Yung sinasabi ng mga ekonomista, pag binabaan mo yung tariff, bababa yung presyo ng bigas kasi magko-compete daw yung mga trader hanggang bumaba. It doesn't happen in our market. No? Parang guni-guni yung ganong theory pagdating sa Pilipinas. No? So,
Bakit?
kasi they capture the benefits from the lower tariff is captured by the people in the middle. No. Ipakita ko yung next slide po. This is data coming from PSA and BOC. Hindi po yan anecdotal data. We evaluate the data that is official data. And you will see that noong January to June 2024, yun yung peak ng price spike. No? The retail prices at that time for well-milled rice reached 56 pesos per kilo. No? Pagdating ng ngayon sa 2025, the retail prices of rice are about 50 pesos per kilo. So mga 5 to 6 pesos lang ang binaba ng retail price. No? But look at the import cost. Yung CIF, that is the cost of imports from Vietnam, dadalhin dito freight, magbabayad ng tariff. The FOB, the CIF price of imports or well-milled price decreased by almost 13 pesos per kilo. No? Ibig sabihin, nagmura po yung import. No? And then since binabaan natin yung taripa from 35 to 15%, the tariff went down by 643. So the total reduction in the import cost from the peak in January to June 2024 up to now was about 20 pesos. Pero yung binaba ng retail wala pang 7 piso. No? No? So, saan napunta yung 13 pesos? It went, hindi ko matukoy, importer ba o trader, maybe a little bit sa retailer, but definitely not to the consumer. Konti lang yung nabigay. Of the 20 pesos almost na pagbaba ng presyo ng imported rice, ang nabigay lang sa consumer is only about 6 pesos. No? So this, I think, is a lesson. No? Kasi yung response ng gobyerno ay dapat itukoy doon sa ugat ng problema. O kasi when the government responds to this type of problem by distributing subsidized rice, that is not the solution. The solution is to address the profiteering that is happening in the middle. No? 20 pesos yung binaba ng presyo ng imported. Bakit 6 pesos lang ang binaba ng retail?
Can you point out here in the graph the 20 peso drop? Where
Yan
is it?
pong under import cost, yung column ng total.
Okay, total.
so-
From 39, naging 45, and now from 45, not now.
No,
2024, 45. Pagdating ng 2025, 26.
Yes.
So
And,
there is the 20 peso gap. Drop.
yung last line po,
19.
that is the comparison between
wait.
the January to June 2024 average. No? Yan yung sukdulan nung price spike. That was a time na talagang may crisis.
Okay.
And we compare it to the average in this year, January to September.
So you're saying from January to June 2024 to January to September 2025, the imported rice has dropped by 20 pesos.
Yes.
And this is well-milled, 5%
Well-milled
pro-
po. Well-milled. Well-milled.
So it has dropped by 20 pesos, and yet retail prices are still what?
Nasa
Dropped by 6 pesos.
6 pesos, yes. Kung merong perfect transmission, dapat yung 20 pesos na yon nabigay dun sa consumer. Di ba? Patas, pareho lang kita nila. Hindi naman bumaba yung kita nila. Pero naibaba dapat ng ganung almost that amount. Pero hindi. No? Ang yumaman yung nasa gitna. No? And the wholesale price here is from the PSA database is the wholesale selling price. No? So it does not say how much did the wholesaler get that price from the importer.
Okay.
Yung po ang sigurong tignan ng PSA. No? Pero between the importer, alam natin yung cost niya, and then yung wholesaler, alam natin magkano niya binenta sa retailer, yan po yung presyong yan. No?
Hatian nila sa 14 pesos.
Baka naghatian sila. No?
14 pesos.
And then yung retailer, nagpatong din ng, kasi yung wholesaler, pinasa niya sa retailer ng 8 pesos lower, pero yung retailer, binenta niya 6 pesos lower. So, nagbalato na rin yung retailer ng 2 piso. No? But the lesson is, in the end, hindi masyadong laki